the drinks.
We got a little bit of smell. It's okay. Right as I hit record, too. So that probably, oh yeah, you can see it.
Oh, yeah.
Like a massive peak. Like just like slapping the spillage.
Speaking of spillage.
Awesome cold open. I was just like slamming into the microphone. She's the girl. Welcome back to the Vampy Wampy Campy Podcast, where we vamp and you camp. So pitch your tent and get ready to listen. I'm Steff Vampy.
I'm
Sal Vampy.
I'm gonna fight you. I'm Shay Wampy.
I'm sorry.
And thank you for listening. Today we're going to be talking about Season 2, Episode 23, Sludge. So, yeah, what did y'all think of this episode?
Very goofy.
It was certainly an episode of something that I watched.
So, yeah, that's the thing about this show, is that it's a little bit over the top, and also extremely low budget, and you can definitely tell from so many things.
So many things.
The font, the Arial font.
I don't even know if it's Arial or like Verdana or something.
Yeah, with like the most basic like neon yellow and then like drop shadow.
Yeah.
So a little plot synopsis is that Kojo falls in love with Zach's cousin. I almost like girlfriend. That was horrible. Gross. He basically acts like Mia's his cousin, honestly. His girlfriend, I mean. Like, there's a little bit... Part of me thinks that, like, in the script, it was supposed to be, like, an ex of Zach, maybe, or something that. But then it... We don't have to continue with the bit.
No, I think we should continue with the bit.
We should.
Yeah, like, part of me thinks that maybe it was, like, an ex-girlfriend, and then they were like, no, that's kind of weird. Because he acts, like, somewhat kind of weirdly dismissive, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyways. Kojo falls in love, and he decides to give up his player ways. That's the thing about Kojo, is that his characterization definitely, like, morphs throughout the show, along with everyone who isn't Zach and or Lodi.
Yeah.
Their characterization really just, like, kind of bends to the whims of whatever plotline they want to tell.
Yeah. Like, whatever fits.
Yeah, there's never any consistency with anyone other than the two main characters, which I'm perfectly fine with. I don't know about y'all. But, at the beginning, Kojo was supposed to be, like, this guy who was, like, not better at skating than them, but like further along in the career of like becoming a professional skater. Like he was already signed to a company.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. But then over time they just morphed him into like. Also, he was more popular with the ladies, which is also something that like Zach and Lodi got really upset about.
He's got game and they don't.
Yeah, basically. But then over time they morphed to where he's not as good at skating as them, which they kind of. But they kind of morphed his character over time to be like just like a buffoon. And also he's barely in any episode. So this was like a rare Kojo-centric episode that we decided to pick here.
As I said in the middle, towards the end, rare Kojo W.
Rare Kojo W, exactly. Because he usually ends up losing at the main character's expense. And we all laugh and giggle at his failures. But in this one, he got a W, even though... So Mia is visiting from out of town, so I don't know how long she's going to stay here. So, like, I don't know how long this relationship is going to be.
Yeah.
But, you know, he decides to commit to her, which is nice.
Yeah.
And then there's just, like, this idea of, like, the sludge.
Sludge.
A giant sludge pile that I guess somebody just dumped in a parking lot one day and then just...
And then they just kept feeding it, I guess.
So, yeah, it's one of those things where, like, you know, they like to cook... the food over the radiation.
Specifically the Schmeats.
Yeah, they're Schmeats. They cook bacon. Remember bacon, yo?
They cook bacon.
Everything, it seemed like back in like the 2010s, everything was just wrapped in bacon.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about their like bacon obsession.
Yeah.
But they cook it in like the radiation of the sludge.
For 15 seconds exactly.
For 15. They put a timer on the screen and everything, which I think really adds to the smosh energy of the... That's
the talking to the camera as well.
The talking to the camera, that is a very...
jump scared me when he just looked directly at us and started explaining things.
Yeah. That's more of a Season 2 thing. In Season 1, they would only ever do talking heads that they would cut to it, where like they're in their respective bedrooms.
Almost like a confessional.
Yeah, pretty much. But like, And there was, and also a tripod, I guess. No one had a tripod on set because everything was handheld and very, like, whoa,
motion sickness.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, like, you saw, like, a jump cut every, like, 2 seconds when they're talking. But in season 2, they introduced more of a, like, while they're in the middle of a scene, just, like, turning to the camera. And usually they only did it when it was just the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes they would do it when there was a third character, and they would have to do that awkward thing where their third character is just, like, in, like, NPC mode, just, like, waiting, because they can't hear Zach and or Lodi talking to the
Because, like, you can
camera.
even see it here in the beginning. Whenever Zach first turned to the camera, you can see Lodi was just kind of focused on the sludge, doing his thing.
Yeah, just kind of, like, pretend that it's not happening. Mm-hmm. But then, like, we'll also, like, face the camera later as well.
Yeah.
So it's a bit awkward, I will say. But I think it really adds to the charm. Along with the low...
It adds to the show's aura.
There's a huge aura around it. Like, a very specific...
The show smells like a wood chip to me, you know?
That makes so much sense, yes. It makes so much, yeah, it really, it's really in there.
So it's like a wood chip.
There's just something about, like, that feeling on, like, a hot summer day on the playground where there's all the wood chips surrounded by you and you're swinging on the swings.
Yeah.
That's the feeling.
Flying off those little spinny chairs.
Yeah, that's the feeling that you get from the show.
Yeah.
And I really do think that this is, like, a real theory I have, that, like, the executives in 2009, they were like, okay, we're starting Disney XD, because this was famously the first ever show.
Why are they looking at me?
My wallpaper on my computer just has them, like, staring at me.
With their orbs.
It's a photo of Five Sauce from, like, 2012, maybe 2013.
Yeah.
So
Timely.
Yeah, very timely. Right around the time of this. This was a little bit earlier. This was like 2010, I think.
Well, still.
But yeah, somewhere around the same time.
Yeah,
but I really do think that because this was the first ever show that Disney XD original that they aired, and you can tell because it was the only show to get the proper, like, red carpet treatment from Disney Channel. Yeah. Pretty much all other Disney XD shows that came out after this got, like, no love and appreciation. Like they got their own wand IDs. Mm-hmm. Zach and Lodi. Yes, I was right. I thought I mispronounced it, but I didn't. Zach and Lodi and Aaron Stone, which was another one that no one remembers. Yeah. Way less. They got canceled, like, very quickly. But Aaron Stone and Zach and Lodi were the only ones to get wand IDs. All the other shows never got wand IDs.
The Disney XD stuff? Right?
Yeah, well, it was on Disney Channel. They would actually advertise the show on Disney Channel. From there going forward, they never did that with their originals.
Like, never, like, crossed.
Yeah, there was very little cross-promotion after that. Probably because they realized it wasn't going to be as successful as they wanted it to, the whole Disney XD thing. So they just probably, like, cut back on the marketing budget. That's my theory. Yeah. Also, they're the only people, literally, these two actors who play these characters are the only two actors to get their own DComs, or to be in DComs. The rest of them have never, maybe they were, like, a side character or back, but they were never leading their own DCom as, like, basically, because the DComs are basically advertisements for the TV show in a way. Yeah. Or, like, cross-promotion and all that stuff. Yeah. So, like, we have Den Brother, which none of y'all probably remember. But that was can I say the actor's name?
Sure.
Yeah. That was Hutch Dano's main character lead role. And then the girl from Dog with a Blog. The young girl. G, is that her name?
G. Hernelius?
Yeah, she was also in the movie. And then, of course, you have Lemonade Mouth.
Yes.
With Adam Hicks.
Yep.
Yeah. And that was more of an ensemble, of course.
Yeah.
But I think he was in another DCom.
Yeah, but for now it counts.
For now it counts, yeah. So, like, they were the only ones to get, like, the proper... Because I'm pretty sure when these actors would sign a contract with Disney Channel, they would say you get a TV show and a movie.
Yeah.
Or maybe 2 movies. You get, like, 2 movies and a show.
Yeah.
Like, that was, like, the package. And then maybe an album. If you, like... And I'm pretty sure Adam Hicks was supposed to get an album, but that probably just never ended up happening.
Yeah.
He was a rapper. Or maybe the Lemonade Mouth album counted, you know.
Maybe.
But, yeah, so, like, you can tell that they got that treatment, whereas the rest of the Disney XD stars did not. Like, I think I made the joke, and because I did make a video about this show. Literally, because Zach and Cody, you know, so...
Zach and Cody and Zach and Lodi.
Yeah, both of those shows I've done videos about. And I think I said, like, did you ever see the Crash and Bernstein guys?
Yeah.
On an episode of Good Luck Charlie? I think not.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say about Crash and Bernstein, McKenna Grace is actually doing pretty good for herself, despite it all. She plays Phoebe in the most recent Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
That's fun.
And she was in a movie with, like, Chris Evans when she was, like, 10.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah.
remember that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and wasn't she like one of the only actors who like wasn't horribly scarred?
Probably, yeah.
Like, I think she made a YouTube video being like, "My experience on Dog with the Blog," or something like that, and was like, "I'm doing good." Like it was actually a really fun experience, and it was really nice and wholesome. And I'm like, as soon as the shows got shit, they started treating the actors well.
Yeah.
Good job, Disney. Get them out of here. But
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
But so any other thoughts on the show? Well, before I just keep ranting about Disney Channel.
I like the way the show is framed. It's like kind of like, wow. Hold on, sorry. Just like, the nostalgia factor is very good. Speak on that. Just the way they frame it too, like the very like old YouTube style of it all.
Yes.
Like we said multiple times during the episodes, like it's reminiscent of old Smosh,
Yeah,
which is 10 out of 10 heart emoji.
That was one of my thoughts that I was gonna say where I got sidetracked on.
Yeah.
That my like I genuinely have a feeling that like for the first ever Disney XD show, they were like Smosh but for Disney Channel. Because that was before they made a deal with all those gamer YouTubers to basically just upload episodes of Jacksepticeye's like playing Minecraft and Markiplier playing Five Nights at Freddy's or whatever onto the Disney XD, because that was a real thing that they would do. They would just like edit up, chop up clips of like YouTube gamers and upload and air them on TV.
I remember that
because they were so desperate for content. Because you know Disney XD had basically become like a ghost channel.
it flopped.
It flopped. They
Because
stopped making shows for it.
I don't remember this at all, but I also wasn't watching Disney XD.
Yeah, the only reason why I knew about it is because, like, right when we were canceling, like, our cable subscriptions, which, like, everyone has a story of, like, when I canceled my cable.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Why I left BuzzFeed.
It's literally, like, a why I love BuzzFeed for the average middle-class consumer.
Yeah.
But, I distinctly remember, like, I think a family member, like, a young cousin of mine came over to, like, spend the day with us.
Mm-hmm.
We were, like, babysitting them for a little bit. And I was like, oh, I'll put on Disney Channel and then later Disney XD. And it was like, yeah, it was like they're just airing episodes of Markiplier's, like, YouTube videos on, like, Disney XD. I was like, what the heck? That's so weird.
Yeah, that's
I
strange.
think I remember being at like either an aunt's house or like my grandma's house or something, and just like kind of flipping through DirecTV channels, and I stumbled across Disney XD, and I just see like, I think it was Jacksepticeye at the time.
Yeah.
I just see like the name in the guide. I'm like, Jacksepticeye.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's he doing here?
And like those videos are like there's probably segments of it that are not safe to air on Disney XD, so they had to like jump cut it, and also they like did a bunch of like epic editing and stuff, and I was like, I don't know how necessary that is.
Yeah, especially for gaming videos, because gaming videos are always edited very straightforward.
Yeah, like just like very simple, like just jump cuts.
Yeah, and
every like few minutes or so. Even.
Yeah, and I would say, well, even that, not really, because like I feel like more Jacksepticeye and Markiplier and like some of their, especially the ones who are uploading like daily or multiple times a week.
Yeah, they pretty much
would just record very minimal edits, upload.
Yeah.
Versus something like Dan and Phil, where they have a bunch of jump cuts in their videos.
And like stuff like to give you a more time period accurate, like Tobuscus. Ooh. he was literally on like Disney XD and all these, like he was very, very like.
Is it too much to say that Zach and Lodi give strong Tobuscus energy?
I don't. So here's the thing. When it comes to Tobuscus, he was very much more like skit heavy, I think, in a way that like felt a little bit like off, you know, like he was like very much like not funny.
Yeah, I never watched Tobuscus.
Yeah, like I think a lot of his skits were like.
He tried to be funny, but he just wasn't.
And I think he became so popular from his gaming videos because he would just be like make silly noises
and like his music videos.
Yeah, and then his music, I don't even want it. They're too cringe. I don't want to talk about it. But he like really tried to be like a skit YouTuber like back in the day, and a lot of his skits are like didn't age well, very bad. Mm-hmm. And nowadays he's like, these woke liberals are trying to silence me.
Is that what he's doing nowadays?
Yeah, I think he made a skit where he was like something about like I identify as a or some stupid shit like that.
Because I remember he got into
he got
for crimes.
Well, he was like, a horror, committed plenty crimes, and then his audience was told, hey, you commit crimes, and he was like, these woke liberals are trying to silence me.
Yeah.
The bad guy. On.
Oh man, do I really have to add that to the Vampies?
Actually, that one we can make an exception for.
We're not gonna force Ronnie Radke onto our lovely audience.
Oh man, like his Happy Wheels playthrough is just. Anyways, we don't have to talk about Tabascus anymore. Yeah, let me finish. Delicious. That delicious sound effect. Okay. I truly do think that like Zach and Lodi are supposed to be like very, very smosh coded, because you know, Zach is very much like the Anthony character, whereas Lodi
is Ian,
whereas Lodi is more of the Ian type. Yeah. And they have this thing. Sorry, I forgot his name for a second there. Okay, we're clearly at that point in the night where things are getting a little crazy.
Just a little silly.
A little loopy.
I think that's the only way to consume Zach and Lodi.
Yeah, is to just be a little bit deranged.
Just
I know for sure the reason why I was able to make that video so fast is because I basically made it all. I watched the entire show and made the entire video, which was like 45 minutes long.
Yeah.
All in the span of a month. Because I think I kind of lost my mind a little bit.
Yeah, really.
Well, I had no Wi-Fi access and no class for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I just kind of wouldn't have been insane.
Yeah.
Well, that's how the entire video was made in those like 10 days.
Yeah.
But like I watched the show like the whole month prior.
Yeah.
So anyways, I distinctly remember when I got, because I had no Wi-Fi, as soon as I teed down here to visit y'all, I like opened my laptop and like uploaded the video because I was just working on it in my dorm with no Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
That's just why all of the clips were from YouTube.
Yeah.
Why I had to make the video in 4x3.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's something that I think is really fascinating to speak about, and I think also adds to like the YouTube feeling of it all, is how everything's framed, because it's framed for 4x3.
Yeah.
Like the show is framed for 4x3, but it is filmed and is on Disney Plus right now. I was watching it in 16:9. So like, fucking sorry. So. Sorry. I'm trying to like if I want to make a pause, I'm like, okay, let me restart the sentence so I can cut out my pause, and then I keep going like buffering. So I'm like, so. But anyways, I think that causes the framing to look really weird. Like everything is awkwardly center frame, like two center frame.
Yeah. Like I think you mentioned it while we were watching. It's like, look how crunchy everything is.
Everything's very crunchy, and then there's lots of crusts.
Yeah.
You see there's a lot of screen crusts where there's nothing happening on the left side and right side of the screen.
Yeah.
Everything's in the middle, and that feels so YouTube to me, because like YouTubers don't know what the rule of thirds are. They never went to film school.
They don't know what the
so like they're just
they're
putting
just
a
messing
camera
around.
Yeah, like every YouTuber you see, pretty much all of them will film in center frame.
Yeah.
When that's never been done before. Like when I film my videos, I use the rule of thirds just because it's on my camera.
Yeah.
Like the lines show up.
The grid.
And so then usually I like to have visual aids.
Yeah,
and so I like to put the visual aids on one line. And
it helps so you don't get Mike Wazowski'd.
Yeah, because that can happen quite easily, because I do put a lot of stuff on the screen while I talk. But yeah, most people just like center frame. And so like that really, I think, adds that, and the fact that they have a tripod now. Clearly somebody splurged for season 2. And
someone thrifted a tripod.
And bought a tripod, because in season 3 it's even worse. Trust me. Like everything is handheld. And I think it was a stylistic choice. Season 1, I mean.
Oh.
Sorry. Season 3 goes full on reality show.
Oh.
Where like everything is like tripoded and stuff.
And confessional.
And kind of more confessional, yeah. Like they literally have scenes. They have scenes. That's my Stacey Dilson coming out again, y'all. If you listen to the previous episode, you know that reference.
Yeah.
But anyways, in season 3, you full on have like direct someone behind the camera going like, so we got it, and then the actor going, yeah, did we get it? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like moments where like they talk to like the
director,
like the director and stuff, and it's like
They're
part of me
moving
was like, was that an actual error that they left in?
Yeah.
But no, I think it was because they changed what the confessionals are, and them talking to the camera changes like what it actually. I think in season 1, it's supposed to be that they are the rulers of this universe and they control everything in this world.
Yeah,
like
a Deadpool fourth wall break.
Pretty much, but like they don't know that they're in a TV show.
Yeah.
But they know that they can talk. They're talking to the camera, and it's like It's almost like a live journal, like they're writing in their diaries almost. That's kind of how it's supposed to feel, I think.
Live journal.
They definitely had a live journal.
Oh, for sure.
At this time. Yeah. They were like live journal addicts, I can tell.
Live journal and like MySpace.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe they were like they leaned more on like the live journal side of things than they did probably like the MySpace.
Yeah.
But yes,
some of the aesthetics are very like MySpace.
Well, and they literally get their big break and they get sponsored by a skating company, and later on, actually a few episodes after this one that we watched today, after Sludge, they get their big break by uploading videos of themselves to the internet skating. That's when they get noticed by Riot Skates, and then at the
reheating iCarly's nachos.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Zach and Lottie are moving up in the world.
And they don't outright say YouTube, obviously, but it's clearly like they're uploading to YouTube. Nice machine.
Yeah.
Going crazy. But yes, I think. Right. Season 2, it's more of like a little bit more reality show. Like they're breaking the fourth wall during scenes, not just like cutting to them in their room in the confessional and stuff. Like they're in the middle of scenes, like talking to the camera. Yeah. So that way it's evolved a little bit, but I still think it's under the idea that like it's basically like they're just acting out their diaries to you, like they're the actual real life situation that is like they're writing something down or whatever. Right. Season 3 is when it actively changes, as far as I'm aware, and it becomes that they are filming their own personal TV show that they burn onto DVDs and put in a shelf somewhere. And that they canonically say that it is each episode is the next day in their lives, which is why they age so weirdly throughout the show. Like, clearly these actors are 17, 18 years old. They're supposed... It's going to blow your all's mind. They're supposed to be 15. Does that feel right? I don't know. To me, that feels so weird. They just look way older than that.
They definitely, like, look older, but I could definitely see them being 15. Like, just based off the characters' vibes, they're 15.
Yeah, like, they definitely act that age, but there's a disconnect in how they look, to me, personally. Like, you know how some actors can look like they're children when they're grown-ups? Like, Tom Holland can look like he's 15 when he's, like, 21. Yeah. These actors are not that case for me.
They look like
their age.
Background actors.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a great that Owen Wilson looking guy. You are a grown man.
5 o'clock shadow.
401k. Yeah. And you're like, background picture of high school.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, they look like they're 18, 19 years old because they are.
Because they are.
Yeah. But that's pretty common.
That's pretty standard.
It's not a weird thing to note. I just like to note it for no reason.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
For funsies.
But it also, I think what adds to like making them feel older than they actually are is the fact that they're really good at skating. Like, I don't know, you don't really see much of it in this episode. This episode isn't really like skateboard heavy, which is kind of sad.
Except for Kojo.
Kojo gets more of the spotlight in this one. This is like a Kojo episode. But they're like really good at skating. Yeah. They're very athletic, and like you see episodes of them like working out and like practicing.
Like in this episode, Lodi was doing handsprings or whatever.
Yeah, back handsprings or front handsprings or something like that.
Something.
Like they're very athletic and
they know what to do with their bodies.
Well, because like you have to be have to have a certain amount of athleticism and then like almost like a gymnastics background.
Yeah, to be good at skateboarding.
To be able to do what they do. Yeah, and they want to go pro. Yeah. And clearly the setup is that they have the skills, but they don't have the maturity levels. Yeah. Because they're so immature and silly and stuff.
They're childs.
Yeah, children. And especially around season 2, you notice that like Zach as a character is growing and evolving as a character, whereas Lodi is not. And is kind of staying stagnant. And this is a good example of that, this plot line. Yeah. Because Zach is like trying to look out for his cousin, and he hates Kojo. They're like kind of frenemies with Kojo. Like they're nice to each other and they're cordial, but like they also kind of hate each other.
They also have beef.
Like kind of like early like Ethan, Benny, Rory situation.
Yeah, I would say so, because like I think Kojo, he like sees them as lame and he sees himself as cooler than them, but also he wants to be their friend. Yeah. And they don't want to be his friend. They're kind of like, you know, they're Zach and Lodi. So
they're Zach and Lodi.
So they're like, you know, in their own lane. And then also they don't like him because they think he's lame, kind of thing. And like specifically, Zach is more like a mature type. Yeah. Compared to the two of them. And you can see that like, also, Zach is like very territorial and is very much like a stick in the mud when it comes to things.
Yeah.
Which is something that was like not the case in earlier episodes that you start to see being developed throughout this season, which shows in this. Because early on, he was just as likely to do those crazy antics that Lodi is doing throughout the episode.
Yeah.
And in this, like, you start to see that shift where he's more like being the more grounded one, like everyone be realistic here.
Yeah.
And be the more voice of reason. And it kind of makes him boring, if you ask me. Like in season 3, he's very boring because he just becomes skater god.
Yeah.
And just becomes like way too responsible in comparison to Lodi. If Lodi grew along with him, then I would find it very interesting. But
you have one staying stagnant and the other all the way over here now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know anything about this show, man. I don't even remember the episode we all watched. I don't even remember what happened.
Right,
then.
I showed them an episode previously. We have seen other episodes of Zach and Lodi. Episode 2. But the episode we watched was a parody of The Hangover, where they eat expired snow cone juice syrup, expired snow cone syrup,
and they
get drunk essentially.
Yeah.
They eat expired snow cone syrup and they get drunk and they have a crazy night out. And Kirby Cheddar, who is like such a random background character in the show, they have to babysit him for the night and
get him to like a concert or something.
Yeah, they have to get him to his trombone recital. And they
lose him.
Yeah, it's the plot of The Hangover. Is what it is.
Yeah.
And but I think really where Zach and Lodi gets his charm is from. Well, first of all, it has very much like a lot of big time Rush energy.
Yeah.
By that I mean like
the sound effects.
They use a lot of sound effects. There's no laugh track, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
And it's very cartoony, but live action.
Yeah. It
and they use the sound effects really add to that. And that's like very big time Rush-y.
Yes.
Don't look back, don't hesitate.
Gotta add that to the
I want it.
Vamps. It might already be out, honestly.
Let me look.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But so I don't know if y'all want to talk about fits.
Oh, I don't remember.
Fit review.
All I remember are the checkered belts, which I think are nice.
Yes, something I think is really great about the fashion in this show. First of all, they have like distinct like dress codes, the three of them, because even though they all kind of dress very similar, they have a distinct like silhouette that they go for, which I think was really smart, and I'm glad that they included that. Like for example, if you pay attention, Lodi is always wearing long sleeves, and specifically layers. He's always wearing long sleeve shirts and then a t-shirt on top. Like, he's never not, like, literally every single outfit he wears, that's his kind of uniform. So that's, like, and then sometimes Zach will have, like, layers as well, but he's usually always in a shirt. Usually a shirt that's 1 or 2 sizes too small. That's because I think they were trying to somehow appeal to girls in a way by using the wares.
The wares
their male
is crazy.
Wares, showing off their male wares.
That's crazy.
Listen, okay. Clearly Hutch Daniel loves to work out. And clearly he keeps up his physique. And clearly the show was like, we gotta show that off. So he's sometimes wearing some tiny shirts.
Yeah.
Just show off the guns. It's just like, I'm just
putting it as male wares is crazy.
Sorry. Whole ass adults making this show, but it is weird that they're like, I get weird when I see it because it's like they're supposed to be 15, man.
Yeah.
This is weird.
This is weird.
Like they'll show
my
them like
wife tails. I miss her a lot. I'll be back. Sorry, that just came out of me.
The Sonic Adventure 2 fandom. I miss my wife tails.
I miss her a lot. I'll be back.
What? You know what? Zach and Lodi have real Sonic the Hedgehog energy.
Yeah, they really do.
And it's just like that epic, like, yeah, whoa!
Whoa!
Oh, yeah!
One!
Yeah, they just have like, oh, yeah! Like, kind of energy, for sure. Yeah. They're rolling around at the speed of sound. Got places.
They listen to Live and Learn.
Yeah, Live and Learn is their #1 track.
You gotta add City Escape now. Yeah. That was what I was singing.
And Live and Learn.
Can't stick around, have to keep moving on. Know what lies ahead, only one way to find out. Just keep on moving ahead. So, specifically, I wanted to mention the graphic tees that they wear. Also, Kojo pretty much never wears graphic tees in very bright colors.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they zip up. He'll wear a zip up. And also, he specifically has the front of his shirt tucked in.
Yeah,
so you can see his belt buckle.
French tuck.
Yeah, it's because he's like... Also, he has his famous catchphrase, though. Watch out!
Watch out.
And they do like a stock, like, smack sound. You know what I'm talking about. They do a famous, like 1980s, 1960s sound effect.
Explosion.
Yeah, like it literally sounds like something from Bonanza.
Yeah.
It's just like very old school. I bet I know for a fact that there's a Wilhelm scream in this show somewhere.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, very classic stuff.
I don't have anything to go off of. Like, starting in the middle of the show with no prior knowledge, I don't have much to say.
That's true. We could have watched the pilot. Well, the pilot, so here's the thing about season 1, which is really fucked, is that I've been exaggerating a lot. Like, this thing is messed up. I mean, it's just like something weird.
It's the YouTuberisms.
Yeah. It's very YouTuber of me.
Yeah. On the thumbnail, you're gonna have a red circle with an arrow pointing.
Well, something that's really weird about season 1 is that the pilot episode is actually episode 4, in broadcast order.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I haven't looked up the production order, but I know it was the pilot because it's titled Pilot, but it's actually episode 4. And my theory is because they have a character that basically gets written out of the show, that they only had around for like about 4 episodes. And so they introduce her character, I think they introduced her character in the pilot, but they didn't want that, like I think that was supposed to be what the actual plot of the show was this one character. And since they wrote that character out, they had the pilot be something completely different.
Yeah.
I think. I had more salient thoughts on that. More buoyant thoughts that floated. But I have some soggy thoughts now.
Yeah. They're sinking a little.
Yeah.
They've been exploded.
Yes.
Like the book in the sludge.
Like the book in the sludge. That's where you get the sound effect.
Exploded.
Is when Kojo throws his black book into the... That's a running joke with Kojo, is that he has this like big black book with all of his like girls' contacts in it. Yeah. It's very much a reference to like The Sweet Life in that sense, because like that's one of the main characters' kind of bits. Yeah. Where like, how many girls have you dated? I think is when he gets asked, and he's like, he's like, Amy, the other Amy, and he's like, Zizica, and she's like, Zizica? Are we ever gonna get out of the A's? Because the joke is that like he's dated a lot of ladies.
Yeah. A lot of ladies. Just kick the table. Whoops. It's okay.
That's like a joke from that show that like you can tell. The Sweet Life was used a lot in Disney XD promos, even though it was a Disney Channel show, and I think that was because it was like the only like male main character show that existed. Because at that point, that's why Disney XD got like made in the first place, is because they basically like went all in on like girl, like girly.
They wanted to appeal for like the 10-year-old boys.
They wanted
shows.
They 12-year-old boys.
Yeah, they wanted that like appeal, and I think the only reason why The Sweet Life was able to stick around is because a lot of girls liked the show, probably because they had things for the twins. Yeah, that's how I think the Suits thought of things. That's not how I feel about it in real life, because like I said, these marketing people, they think very binary in that sense. Yeah. Hence why they're forcing.
It's giving.
Hutch Daniel to lift weights.
I was gonna say it's giving Will Ferrell in the Barbie movie as the CEO.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Yeah, like and that's why you have Hutch Daniel lifting weights every other episode. Yeah. Which again, I like from a character standpoint, but I'm like,
it makes sense.
Why? It's showing off his male wares.
It's very dangerously close to saying malware, like he's giving you a virus.
He kind of is. That's how it feels. Getting corrupted files.
Corrupted files.
But
it didn't delete you system 32 or whatever.
Yeah. So the plot line of Mia, she's a one-off character, by the way. She never comes back. Fun fact. I don't know. Nice. If it felt like she would show up more.
Like you said, they're like, nice, never have to see her again.
I know. Well, I didn't mean like that.
Speaking of fits, she has this really weird outfit that she wears in her establishing.
Why?
She's wearing I think like a sports bra, or maybe like a.
It's like a sheer kind of like no support kind of
Yeah,
I described it as like a bralette.
Yeah, she's wearing that over
Her tank top.
A tank top, and it looks like she has like another tank top on under.
The layers that go crazy.
Because like it's not like it was her bra strap or anything. It was like an actual like other tank top, and then a blue tank top, and then like a gray bralette.
It was like gray and pink.
And then she had like a jacket over.
Yeah,
it was like salmon. No.
Yeah, it's very salmon. And then she takes off the jacket. That was something I noticed in Zeke. That was something I noticed in Zack and Lodi, is that people dress a lot differently in these Disney XD shows than how they dress. Like, famously, you will see a Disney Channel character wearing a normal outfit with, like, 3 other layers under it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Specifically because certain trendy outfits at the time were not Disney Channel approved.
Yeah.
Like, those more, like, bedtime lingerie, like, silk t-shirts that were, or like, tank tops that were really popular in the 2000s. You'll see Disney Channel characters wearing this with a t-shirt, a colorful t-shirt underneath it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which was not a thing that people actually dressed like at the time. Yes, layers were in. But not like that. It was clearly like they wanted the characters to dress trendy, but did not want them to show clavicle.
Exactly. It's like, back when like, it's more like a 2000s thing, but when like mini skirts were popular,
yes,
you get copious amounts of jeans and leggings underneath their mini skirts and dresses.
And then also you would see, like the leggings, like the capri leggings under a skirt.
Yeah.
A classic silhouette for like an Alex Russo type.
Yes.
I think of Alex Russo specifically when I think of that style. In this show, they don't bother with that. And that really makes me wonder. You specifically see that care not being put into this show. And I wonder why. I don't have many thoughts on that. I'm just like, I wonder if you guys have any.
Budget
Probably, yeah.
Maybe it's just the budget. Maybe there's no one there.
That, or it's like if they knew that they might be aiming for less of like a 5 to 8-year-old audience, like more of like a 10 to 12. Start to incorporate
so much.
Yeah, start to incorporate like, oh, we don't have to be so strict about this.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so this is like true awkward 2000s layering that you got here with the like I said, the bra.
The bralette.
Yeah, I was saying it's giving that one image, that one Taylor Swift outfit where she's wearing the harness backwards.
Yeah, that's so bad. She's wearing a backwards harness and then a tank top that says, "This is my fight song."
Yeah.
And then she has like the biggest Louis Vuitton bag I've ever seen in my whole life.
Yeah.
So and then some sunglasses, some Ray-Bans, I think. It's
just bad.
Who let her go out like that? Who let her? She obviously dressed herself that day.
Yeah.
Did you find the photo? Oh my god. It's so bad. Ew.
This is my fight song.
God, that's horrible.
I kill your wife song.
God, it's so bad.
It's like,
Yeah, what's with that donut shop?
So here's the thing about Don's Donuts.
Don's Donuts.
You know
Hooters.
Yeah,
Don
well,
did
that's
do it.
okay. This is crazy. Yeah. So every TV show obviously has to have a third location.
Yeah.
Right? Because even though we don't have third locations anymore, like
This was the 2010s. They still did.
Yeah. So you have like their work, which in this case is like their skate place.
Yeah.
Like the work, quote unquote.
Work.
And then
like
you have
school.
then you have the home, and also they don't go to school.
They don't go to school.
So they skate shop instead.
Nice.
They literally don't go. Well, canonically, yes, they do go to class technically.
Put
But
on your
it's just not-
seatbelts.
But they don't. It's the Disney Channel. Yes, like where they have to. Whenever someone gets in a vehicle, they have to say a seatbelt and put the seatbelts on.
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing. Where like occasionally you will get a call out that like yes they do go to school, but like they don't go to school.
They don't go to school.
They don't have parents either. If you notice, Zeke has a bathroom in his bedroom.
That's crazy.
Like, they just don't go to school, and they don't have parents either. Like yeah, obviously yes, technically canonically they have parents, but like they don't have parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just going to the assumption that they live in the suburbs in these massive suburban households on their own.
Yeah.
And
Living that dream teenage life.
exactly.
Hashtag goals.
It's wish fulfillment. It is. It is hashtag goals. That's what it's supposed to be. I think it's literally supposed to be wish fulfillment for young boys to be like, if I could just skateboard all day.
Yeah.
And the biggest problems I have is that my best friend wants to date my cousin.
Yeah.
Like it's really wish fulfillment in that sense.
Comedy genius.
Especially when you have season 3 and Ginger wasn't in this episode, by the way. She's one of the other main characters.
Yeah.
Which is she's Zach's little sister.
Yeah.
And she's kind of supposed to be like the average Disney Channel viewer like perspective.
Yeah.
The show, like a stereotype of what the average Disney Channel viewer looks like. She's like a 10, 11-year-old girl or whatever, right? And she's like a brat and like is constantly getting in Zach's way or whatever. But Dawn Donuts. You asked about that.
Yes.
You asked about Dawn's Donuts. So that's supposed to be the third location. They have ramps, I think is what they call their skate place. Which is like the coolest skate place of all time. They have, you know,
I don't know
Zach's.
why I thought you were going to say Ram Ranch, and I was like, oh no.
Ram Ranch. I'm not a straight dude. I've never heard of Ram Ranch before. Anyways.
But Zach and Lodi are.
Zach and Lodi love Ram Ranch.
They love Ram Ranch,
it's like
dude.
my favorite thing in the whole world. So
They're actually the people who interviewed him.
They're on the Discord. But you have Don's Donuts. And at first Don's Donuts is just supposed to be like an average donut shop, and Don we do see throughout the show. Like he is a character. A kind of like a running, supporting character. He is in the show, and he's just supposed to be like this extremely incompetent guy where you wonder, like, how does he even run a business? But for some reason in season 2, they turned it into Hooters. Like, there's all these, like, waitresses with, like, really short shorts. And, like, like, clearly the best they can get away with.
Fan service.
That's
for
my
the young
theory.
boys.
That's it has to be like for the young boys. You have all these like really beautiful girls in short shorts.
Short shorts.
Being the waitresses for Don's like it's not and then it becomes more of like a sit down restaurant too. Before it was like there's a couple tables and you mainly just get donuts. I think the second episode of the show is where they do donut delivery because they want to get some cash because their skateboards are breaking.
Yeah.
So they want to be able to get new wheels and stuff like that. So they need some money, so they decide to do like a skateboard delivery service for donuts. Yeah. And that's when Grubner gets introduced, and that's weird. Grubner is a girl who's the same age as Ginger, who has a crush on Zach, and it's very awkward because she's like 12 and he's like 15. Oh. So it's very weird, and he's like, "I'm too old for you, you gross, get away from me," and she's like, "We're meant to be together."
They get married.
They get married and make out in the Hangover parody episode, which is horrifying. Like they were going for that too. They were going for the most
this
gross,
is weird. What?
The most gross, weird, disgusting thing they could have gone for, and they succeeded. Yep. That was gross, especially because
that was icky, guys.
But the bit is really funny, where like they start kissing, and he's like, "Ew, fast forward," and he fast forward, and it just keeps going. He's like, "Ah! Ew!
Yeah.
Ew! And it's going, what the fuck? Drinking cum powder?"
Just giant block.
Don't look at it, guys. Don't look at it. Just looking at our WAV files. Crazy. But, yeah, for some reason, Don's Donuts. My favorite thing that they change about Don's Donuts is that, like, they have a smoothie bar there, and the guys are just, like, really into smoothies. I can't remember if it happens in season 2 or season 3, but, like, they're constantly drinking smoothies. And I'm like, that is so funny, because it feels like such, like a network executive, like, intervention. Like, they need a healthy, positive snack. Besides just donuts, because donuts are unhealthy, so we gotta have a healthy but like also it makes so much sense for their characters because they're athletes essentially. Like they actually do care about what they put into their bodies because they need to be physique enough to
Physique enough.
They need to be physique enough. Whatever. God. I thought it was like actually kind of amazing that they like love smoothies. Yeah. I thought that was so much of this show is just like weird quirks and weird bits
that makes so much sense.
That just like kind of they make
work
a lot of
together
and they kind of continue, like they keep up the continuity.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of plot. Like any plot that gets introduced, any new outside character that gets introduced evaporates from existence as soon as the credits roll.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was like, that kind of reminds me of something you were saying where it's like Zach often gets put with trying to deal with the plot, which means Lodi has to just kind of be there.
Yeah.
Just kind of like goof off.
Yeah, this is a problem, which is why I said how like in the beginning of the show they wrote off a character. Olive Girl is what I call her. Her name is Olivia, and she's a model for olives. So she's supposed to be like a teen model, and she models with olives. So they call her the Langley Olive Girl until they learn her real name, which is Olivia. And I'm like, if they're gonna fucking name her Olivia, I'm calling her Olive Girl.
Olive Girl.
Zach had a poster of her in his bedroom throughout all of season 1.
Yeah.
Because he had a crush on her, and then she moves in next door. Yeah. Again, she doesn't have parents, but she just moved into the suburban neighborhood.
She's the girl next door.
Yeah. Nice being out of your heart is pure.
She's the girl next door.
She's the girl next door. And also she's British. I think they just happened to cast a British actress and then just kind of went with it.
Yeah.
And then they write off her character, and then she appears once more, like, right at the end of season 1, and they just, like, completely changed. Maybe they were trying to, like, keep her around, and they make the joke is that she's so British, we don't understand what she's saying. She's like, oh, I governor, Ollie chap, mate.
There's so many...
And they're like, we don't know what she's saying.
It's like, here's the thing, but, like, of like, oh...
What happened?
They're busted.
Anyways, gross. You were saying? Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, of all the white accents they could have made fun of, like, British, like, that one's, like, the easiest one to understand. They could have like, especially if it's just, like, a kind of a generic-ish.
Yeah.
Like, they should have got someone from, like, the north.
That would have been, I think that would have been better, yeah. It doesn't make any sense, and after that, she literally never appears again in the whole show. So clearly they were they signed the actress onto 5 episodes, and they're like, we don't know what to do with her in the 5th one, so let's just shove her in the background and make jokes the whole time.
It was like that, or, like, the strongest, like, Irish or Scottish accent you can think of.
That would have been cool. If she was Scottish, that would have been awesome.
It kind of always reminds me of, like, those, sometimes a tweet will appear from the ether, from, like, the Scottish side of Twitter, and it's, like, all of their, like, slang and vernacular and stuff, and it's like, whoa?
Yeah, that would have been so much cooler.
Yeah.
But the reason why I mentioned her is because I think the reason why they wrote her off the show is because she's supposed to be Zach's love interest. That's what she's set up to be, and they have a few episodes where they bond and kind of grow closer, and then she disappears. And my theory was that in the episode where they actually do, like, have a real, like, love interest position, Lodi has to like faff off in the background doing something else. That was a British term.
Yeah.
I used a British term.
You're so British.
So British.
Yeah, I watched Dan and Phil.
The Brick Crew, which were big at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Zoella.
Alfie.
Didn't he have to defend that he was not a Tory?
Yep.
So funny. Anyways, they probably realized that, like, the whole point of the show is Zach and Lodi.
Zach and Lodi.
And we can't have, if Zach has a love interest, they have to separate them in plot lines. And
do not separate.
And they probably wanted to do that early on, but then once they actually made the episodes, they were like, no, these suck. Like, having Lodi separate. But then they still do it sometimes because they have to, because, again, they give Zach more shit to do than Lodi. Yeah. So that's why it only works when the two of them are together in the plotline. This is a weird one where they're separated, kind of.
Yeah, where it's like they have to be together, otherwise standalone, it's just kind of a nothing sandwich.
Yeah. I agree.
Because, like, in this one, they
have to, like, remind you that Lodi is there when Zach and his cousin are having a conversation.
Yeah.
They'd be like, the other main character's here too, guys.
Yeah, because this plot line with the B plot in this one was that Mia was better, or Mia and Lodi, like, competed back in, like, what did they say, junior high?
Yeah.
For, like, a mascot position, and Lodi's still butthurt over it. So
because he lost. Because she's a better gymnast.
Yeah, she's a better gymnast.
Gymnast.
Gymnast. That's what I was gonna say.
And, like, every scene that they're in together, all three of them, it's Lodi being butthurt about the thing.
And it just kind of makes him seem weird.
Yeah, it's lame.
He's definitely not as fun in this episode because of that. Yeah. I think it's a lot more fun when the two of them, where, like, basically Lodi is dragging Zach down with him. Yeah. Or vice versa, because one thing about Zach is that he must always have his way. And he's the sorest of sore losers. Like, he has to be the best at everything. Yeah. And they don't solve this character issue of his. They just basically make him the best at everything, and he becomes skater god. Yeah. Which is kind of a problem that I have with the show.
It becomes a Marty Sue.
That's a good way to describe it. A Marty Sue.
Yeah.
Well, it clearly, I'm like... I like the dynamic of them being good, but it's their personalities that are getting in the way of them being more successful in their career for skating, but they're really good skaters. Like, I like that. That's a good, like, line to toe, because it would suck. The show would suck if they were bad at skating. Yeah. And you had to watch them fail at trying to be skateboarders, like, the whole show. Like, that would be not fun. So the fact that they are, like, not totally inept is really cool, but as the show goes on, and this is a sign of it, it just starts to get less fun because they get too good, essentially, is what it is. And there was probably a good way to play with that they didn't, because they probably didn't have as much money and time and writers to work on the episodes. But this was probably a plot that they really liked, and I'm just kind of like, eh. Like, you know, they introduced a girl character for an episode.
Yeah.
I want the buttons that she made though.
Yeah.
Yes. We need the one with the
Kojo with the circle and the line through it.
Canceled.
It's just so funny, like that photo where he's like,
yeah, you gotta make those.
I want to. I totally will. They have a clear. They rack focus on it, so I'll have a clear screenshot of it.
Nice.
They're not blurry. So.
It's one of those things where it's like I noticed it with Kojo especially. But I think it's just a general trend with a bunch of like Disney Channel, Disney XD things.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of the actors tend to overact.
Oh yeah.
In the situation, you could definitely see it with Kojo.
I think for sure there's a lot of intense enunciation and he's like performing. You know what's it called? He's like
more of like a theatrical than like
he's
a,
performing
like a
for the back of the crowd. Yeah, he's performing for the nosebleeds.
Like he's on stage rather than on set.
But he's in a show where like the framing and everything feels very natural. Yeah. So it does.
Yeah, no, it definitely like works and like comes off, but it's something you definitely notice like even with this show.
And I think it's fine for Kojo because he's very
he's a very animated, expressive guy.
Yeah, and also he's only in like usually like 2 to 3 minutes of each episode, anyways.
Yeah.
And even then, he's not even in like large chunks of episodes. So like Lodi's more over the top performance that is just slightly, just ever so slightly more restrained than Kojo's is. Mm-hmm. And Zach's like everyman kind of style. Them being the main characters works really, really well. Like if Kojo was a main character, you'd be sick of him and you'd hate him. But the fact that he's just like set dressing essentially for most of the show is really helpful. And this one where they actually try to give him like plot and like emotions to deal with is just kind of like.
Are you saying Kojo is the sexy lamp?
He is the sexy lamp. He literally is. That's such I'm so glad. Yes, he literally is like the sexy leg lamp from Christmas Story.
I was gonna say like because that's like a thing and specifically with female characters where it's like you can replace them with like a lamp and nothing would change. Yeah.
Like, that's what the term like set dressing. Yeah, he's basically just set dressing, just there to stand in the background and look pretty. Yeah, that's Kojo. It's Kojo, and that is definitely what his character evolved into. He was supposed to be more important, I think, and they just like kind of
they nerfed him.
They nerfed him. He's in the main credits, which is crazy. Yeah, like, and then so is Ginger, and I'm like, these characters literally they rarely show up, and they basically mean nothing to the show. Yeah, but they clearly couldn't only have 2 people billed as the main characters, so they had to kind of like.
Try to promote it as like an ensemble kind of.
Yeah, and there's another character that they actually do that with too that wasn't in this episode, probably because they introduced the girl character. Yeah. So if there wasn't like a new character being introduced, like this other guy gets like upgraded in the plot, and that's Ozzy. That's the character. The character's name is Ozzy. I think his full name is like Oswald or whatever. But he is like kind of like the nerd character that they're supposed to make fun of. Mm-hmm. Basically, like part of like his character gets absorbed into Kojo whenever whenever Ozzy's not there and Kojo's around. Where like they're supposed to be like, he's so lame, and compared to like how cool they are, you know. Yeah. Kind of like how you're supposed to relate to the audience, where it's like, you have that one friend that's like kind of annoying that like, but like you don't want to get rid of them or whatever, right? That's how it feels at least. Yeah. Like that one kid on the playground who's just like constantly annoying you or whatever, right? But anyways, Ozzy's not in this episode, and I don't like Ozzy. I really do think the problem with him is that they reset his character every season. Yeah. Like in the first season, they hate him. He's an arch enemy of theirs. They like Kojo more than they like Ozzy. Yeah. And then slowly they really build this kind of like core 4 of Zach and Lodi and Ozzy and Kojo, and then the season 1 finale they become like a real like quartet. So, like, when you want to do more of an ensemble episode, you can have the 4 of them and then more often than not, you'll have Zach and Lodi separate, right? Yeah. But it's for some reason, at the beginning of season 2, like, immediately when season 2 starts, they're like, revert Ozzy back to, like, we hate him and we can't stand him. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you gotta pick one. Because I like it when Ozzy's, like, this enemy that they hate, because he's, like, a nerdy kind of guy. But he's a very specific type of nerdy guy. He's like, he's a power walker. So they have, like, other, like, lamer sports to compare skateboarding to, you know? Like, the whole rollerblades episode where Lodi falls in love with a girl who rollerblades, and Zach is like, rollerbladers suck! Like, we hate when we have rivals against rollerbladers, but, like, Lodi falls in love with one. But anyways, it's basically just the same plot as this one, where it's, like, forbidden love. But anyways. But then, like, halfway through season 2, and actually, specifically in season 3, they turned him into more of, like, a Poindexter, like, nerd type.
Actually.
Yeah, and it's like, that's so weird, because he was never like that before. And it's clearly, like, they probably just shuffled writers around, and they're like, oh, Ozzy, he's the nerdy one? Okay. And so they just put him in, they literally put him in, like, the button-up with the bow tie, because he wears glasses, and it's like, what are you guys doing? Because he had a specific silhouette that he dressed in. He dressed in, like, booty shorts. The joke was that he used to, like, bump people with his butt. You know, a lot of butt humor, because it was 2010 Disney Channel boy show. But he wore, like, these tiny, tiny booty shorts, and then, like, the thinnest, smallest, like tank top ever. Showed a lot of skin, this guy. And he was very skinny and lanky, and it's supposed to be like, haha, look how skinny he is, that's not masculine.
Yeah.
Compared to Zach, who's, like, super buff. So you're supposed to, like, think of him as lame because of that. And I'm like, that's weird. Yeah. But anyways, that's why they dressed him the way they did, just to show how lanky he was. Anyways.
I see the light.
I'm going towards the light, y'all. I'm slowly decaying. It's starting at my feet and it's going upward.
Just like the sludge.
Just like the sludge.
Just like the sludge.
I will say, I liked all the ska music.
The ska.
The ska.
The ska.
Is so good.
Yeah.
And all of this.
It's very emblematic of, like.
Yes.
I don't know. Something about it is very, like, early 2010s, like change of the decade kind of.
Yeah, and then it's just very, very X Games, very like of that era, like that kind of sound.
Also just reminds me just in general of Disney Channel and that whole Defunct Land video of them trying to. For some reason the ska one always stood out to me.
the Mighty Mighty Bosstones.
When they were looking for the jingle.
That's the band that has it basically uses half of the Disney Channel theme like on accident. Yeah, it's pretty good. So many of these episodes feel like they had 2 plot lines and they just smushed them together because they couldn't make it a full episode.
It's kind of like back in the day whenever they'd air a 22-minute time slot, it'd be 2 separate 11-minute episodes. I think of like old SpongeBob.
Like SpongeBob, that's what they used to do, where they have like episode 67A, 67B. Yeah. Where they're built in the same episode, but they're 11-minute storylines. Yeah. Honestly, I wonder how Zach and Lodi would have been like if that was the case. Because like this episode's a good example of it, where like there's the sludge, which is the name of the episode. So you think the sludge would be the main point of the episode, but no, the main point is actually the fact that
Kojo is turning into a one-man lady woman.
Yes. What did he call?
Gender.
Lady woman, man, lady woman.
Insert that one Blur song. Girls are like.
He specifically calls himself like a one-woman lady man. But it's like in the captions, it's like one man dash lady. Woman dash lady space man.
Kojo said gender.
Yeah, Kojo said gender.
Well, because I think he called him like instead of lady friends, he calls them like something like woman ladies or something like that.
He calls them lady womans.
Lady woman ladies. Yeah, so he says like I'm a one woman lady or something like that. Yeah. And it's like
whoa.
I love it, yeah.
Yeah.
But like you'd think that the plot would be about the sludge because that's the title. Yeah. But it's like barely a background thing. Yeah, well, the main plot is Mia and Zach's cousin and stuff like that. And I think it's because like, well, we have the idea for the sludge for them to jump over because you know, the budget, the producer said we had 3 big holes for them to jump over. So we'll make one of them a sludge. Yeah. Because we have the budget for 3 things for them to jump over. So that's what one of them's going to be. The other one's going to be a sinkhole and all that stuff. And the shark? Well, the shark, yes, thank you. That's when Zach jumps the shark. Yeah. But it's like... you know, it's like the most noise I could possibly make. So, if you guys don't have any more thoughts, we can give our final thoughts on the show. I can go first. So overall, I don't think this is the best episode of this show, but I do think it's a really fun one, and I like having a Kojo-centric episode. I think it's important for like the overall like season, and I'm glad that it's there. And I think the Mia stuff is really nice, even though this show it's an episodic show essentially. There was pretty much nothing that carries over. No
serialization whatsoever.
There's very, very little that only really becomes more apparent in like season 3. But yeah, it's you might as well just see the show as an episodic television show.
See, it's like one of those like how we talked about the Gravity Falls one where it's or no, Avatar. We were talking about Avatar.
Right.
How you can't just like hop in at a random time.
Yeah, that's why I never got to watch that show because I was just like, well, I'm behind and I'm lost.
And then, but meanwhile with this one, you could just hop in at any point. It'll just be the same vibe.
Yeah, and like you might get a bit confused. Like if you watch this episode with no context, you'd be like, oh, is Kojo more of an important character than he actually is in the show?
Yeah.
We found out his real name in this episode too. I think this is the first time we heard his real name, which is Cornelius Jones.
Cornelius Jones. Kojo.
Yeah. So I like the sludge. Big fan of when there's a big old hole that they gotta jump over.
Sludge.
I love a good sludge. I like that they cook hot dogs over
and then
glow in the dark.
Yeah.
They're fluorescent green. That's a pretty good joke. I think I made a joke in the episode that's kind of depressing. But I was like, they're eating all this like radiation cooked bacon, and it's like they're gonna get cancer at like age 25.
Yeah.
But anyways, big fan of the sludge. I don't mind Mia. I actually would have. That's the problem with any of these characters they introduce, that they never show up again because the show's so episodic. But I would like to see them come back more. I think they would be like, and maybe instead of like Kirby Cheddar, although I do like Kirby Cheddar.
Kirby Cheddar.
He's a funny guy. If we had more Mia, I would be really happy with that.
That would be really fun.
More, especially over Grubner. Not a big fan of Grubner at all.
Yeah.
But anyways, I really like this episode. I'll probably give it 3, maybe 3.5 out of 5 fluorescent hot dogs. Which I think is a pretty good rating.
That's a pretty good one.
That's above a 6
Yeah.
out of 10. So I'm like, that's good.
Yeah.
It's an episode of a show.
Yep.
I will admit I'm a little like lost. Like I'm not particularly attached to any of the characters.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like so unfamiliar with it.
Makes sense.
But I mean like, this seems like something my brother would have watched. If he wasn't like 4 when this came out.
Yeah.
Wasn't in the womb.
Wasn't just outside of the crib. But no,
it's fine. If you don't like it, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. I think I need
okay,
to.
Dad.
It's not okay, Dad. but I think it's one of those ones where I think I need to see more of it for it to like grow on me.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate the true art that is Zach and Lottie.
It really endears you over time. Mm-hmm. Like it kind of like latches itself onto you.
Yeah, like a parasite.
Like a parasite. Yeah. I was gonna say kind of like a
the
Venus
parasites in me.
I was gonna say like a Venus flytrap. It just kind of slowly consumes you, just absorbs you into its liquids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It liquefies you, and then you become one with it.
I think I'm sitting at a good like 2.5 kind of out of 5 wide shot stunt cutaways.
Hell yeah. We didn't get as many. We got like 2 stunts. There's usually more stunts in these episodes too.
Yeah.
This one they put all their money into the sludge.
Yeah.
So we got like the dunking.
Went to the sludge.
We got like the dunking scene, and then we got the jump over the sludge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I agree with the fact that it's an episode of a show, but I have seen a few episodes before, so I'm really not quite like super attached, but I do appreciate like the quirkiness and the goofiness of the show and its characters, not only in like the camera work and like but like all the sounds and all that like environmental aspect of it.
Yeah.
I would like to see more of Cujo. I wish Cujo. Hello. Cujo.
Me too. I want to see more. What was that movie, right? Cujo and the...
Cujo's a horror movie.
Oh.
I think you were thinking of Kubo or the two things. I don't know where Cujo came from. I apologize.
Do y'all not know my homeboy Cujo?
No.
What show is that from? That's from something.
It's from the movie Cujo.
I gotta see an image of this. Anyways, please continue with your review.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, as I was saying, I wish the show did more with, like, their main quote-unquote characters.
Yeah.
I so wish that this show in general did so much more with a lot of the things that were given, but they weren't. Overall, with this episode, Anyways, okay. I'm gonna give it a solid 3 out of 5 sludges.
Sludges. Thank you for listening to the Vampy Wampy Campy Podcast. Make sure to put out your fire and take down your tent, or else
Smokey the Bear is gonna reverse Animorph
into a nice teenage girl.
Yes. That, or just drop some sludge in your parking lot.
You're gonna get sludge.
You're gonna get sludged.
So
And get cancer by 25.
Have fluorescent hot dogs.
Yeah.
All your hot dogs will be fluorescent. So, yes, thank you for listening. Make sure to follow us on Tumblr, vampywampycampypodcast.tumblr.com. Make sure to Lampy, Quampy, Subscrampy.
Follow us on Tampy.
On Tampy, Tumblr.
Tampy and Yampy.
To ask us some Quampies
Yes,
for us to ampy.
Yes, Quampies for us to ampy. Make sure to Lampy and Subscrampy. And thank you for listening. Happy April.
Happy April.
Happy April. Happy totally inconspicuous normal day in April.
Yes.
Yes.
Late. They actually do care about what they put into their bodies because they need to be physique enough to.
Physique enough.
They need to be physique enough. Whatever. God, my Swiss.
Zeke and Luther.
I'll put that at the end. Once the bit is done. Once the bit is over.
Physique and Luther.
It's my Swiss hole brain. Since I said that last time, Swiss hole. It's my Swiss hole brain.
Yeah.
But anyway,